Kemarin beli 1.000.
1.000? Maksudnya 1.000 rupiah?
1.000.
The wild bird trade is a unique wildlife trafficking enterprise compared to others. In Javanese culture, one must have a horse, house, wife, dagger, and songbird to become a man. Thus, the demand for songbirds in Indonesia is strongly rooted in cultural traditions and gender roles. Indonesia has the third most threatened bird species out of any country in the world. It is estimated that between 600,000 and 1 million birds are taken from the wild and sold in Indonesian markets every year. The massive trade, combined with rapid habitat loss from deforestation, is causing many bird species to undergo heavy decline. Planet Indonesia conducted the first ever bird market surveys in West Borneo, and in just a 5-week period, found over 10,000 individual birds for sale in more than 75 different markets. This trade involves over 200 species, from birds of prey to songbirds and parrots. The lack of data and knowledge is a major obstacle to stopping the wild bird trade, as many species are unprotected within Indonesia and conservation and law enforcement agencies lack data to track the illegal trade. Furthermore, the lack of consumer awareness, inadequate law enforcement, and lack of government policies greatly impede all conservation efforts. Many species are also not protected by Indonesian law. Planet Indonesia is part of an International Union for Conservation of Nature working group, which is a cohort of organizations in Southeast Asia working to fight the trade. We are the only organization in West Borneo addressing this issue.
So one of the major obstacles to the wild bird trade in Indonesia is the complexity of the supply chain. So for example, if you look at the demand side, you tend to see people that are a lot more wealthy and that are collecting birds as a sign of social status. But if you look at the supply side, you tend to see a lot more low-income villagers, agents who are doing this more as a basic source of income. So at Planet Indonesia, to address this kind of very complex supply chain, we have a number of approaches. So the first one, looking at more of the supply side, we use a communal business approach to help communities achieve sustainable development. So we really focus in this area on making a commitment to the economic well-being of communities and helping them identify new sources of livelihoods and combining that with things like savings and loans programs and life skills training and mentoring. So if you move up the supply chain to kind of the middle link, which is generally more agents and shop owners, in that area we do a lot more work with investigations and then making reports to law enforcement agencies. And then the third link, or kind of the end of the supply chain, is really the rooted, where the demand is rooted. And that's in this kind of Javanese culture of owning birds to become a man. And so for that area, we are creating a smartphone application which engages users in a game-like data collection process. So it actually provides incentives for Indonesians to go out into wildlife markets and collect data. And then we use that data to work with law enforcement agencies and to also to increase the protection status within Indonesia. But I think the unique part about this smartphone application is that it's not just a tool for government agencies or NGOs, but it's actually a citizen science tool. So users can compete with other users in their area and also win things like free minutes on their phone, which we call here pulsa, free data, just based on the amount of data that they collect and the quality. So we really try, at Planet Indonesia, try to address the entire supply chain, not just focusing on law enforcement or livelihoods or consumer demand, but really looking at each link and seeing what makes the most sense.
Indonesia has one of the highest global rates of endemism, meaning species found nowhere else on the planet. We must remember that for these species, local extinctions become global extinctions.